Remember, we do have this different system now where we don't have
selection, it's
first
called.
pick tied to the side. So LYON, as the losers of game number 1, selected last pick, and C9 then selected blue side. So this one's going to look very similar to what you've seen for years and years and years at this point. C9 going to go ahead and ban out Malphite, Nico, and Lulu. Meanwhile, LYON is going to ban out the Jace, the Varus, and the Ziggs.
It's really interesting because historically, you know, blue side has always been really, really OP with first pick and everything. So all the coaches I talked to in the preseason were telling me, oh yeah, it's just going to be, everyone's just going to choose first pick and no one's going to care about blue side, red side, right? But statistically, last pick has actually been doing a lot better. And even red side has been doing better than blue side. So pretty interesting. It's actually pretty counter to expectation for most people. It can sometimes just be a meta thing where, you know, if there's a lot of counters available and less OPs that are just blindable, then generally first pick is kind of just weaker than last pick. But it is interesting to see that it's just a little bit of a surprise to me.
Well, whenever I see a team select last pick as their choice, I am then in judgment mode. I'm putting on my powdered wig, I'm grabbing my gavel. If you are not picking a good, meaningful counter for your last pick that can't just slot into somewhere else.
I'll be the guy that yells, order in the court when you bang your gavel.
Fantastic. You can be my bailiff. And then that means we are going to judge this last pick. I don't want to see some BS that could have been picked on first or second rotation and not change anything.
When you go Ornn 5.
Yeah, Ornn 5. I'm not
off with his head.
I'm not looking for Ornn 5. But we have a Pantheon first pick here for C9. They're going to go ahead, lock in Ksante and Taliyah with it. Pantheon, Taliyah, we know how that combo is so deadly. Over on the other side, they lock the Rumble and the Vi. So Taliyah not only working well with Pantheon, but being denied from working with the Vi.
And it looks like LYON are basically just going for the same style of composition that they did last time. If they lock in the Ahri, Vi Ahri, it's a similar kind of dive style that you would see. But considering some other options, so we won't get into it too much unless they do lock it down. But I mean, it would make sense alongside the Rumble and the Vi, and it is locked. So yeah, I feel like they're basically doing the same thing that they did last game, right? And they had the Knockwave combo last time, you know, with his aggressive top laner. They're going for, you know, a similar style. It's full dive, it's centered on the back line, and that is what LYON has opted into. I always feel like from this point, you want to ban out some of the picks that are really strong defensive picks to mitigate that. So I immediately think of like Renata and Braum and champions like this. Or if you want to target the AD carry, I think of safe AD carries. Ezreal was already played last game, but like Saya and things along those lines that are going to be really, really safe and difficult to dive. Those would be the kind of picks that I would want to deny. Vulcan's also a really good Bard, so this can make sense. You can also do, you know, Bard ultimate defensively as they are Vi ulting in and kind of use that as like a Zhonya's. But I'm going to be curious to see, you know, if they ban out some more of those kind of safety picks and if Cloud9 opts into them if they're available.
All right, C9, what's it going to be? Are we going to look at the supports? Are we going to look at the AD carries?
They did it last game. That's my assumption, that they're just going to ban out Berserker.
Okay, well, Yunara is the first step in that plan, and they will remove it.
They could ban out, you know, Aphelios if they want to take away another crit marksman. Obviously, you're going to need some sort of consistent damage to be able to deal with, you know, Rumble and kind of that, the Ksante and that sort of front line. So, you know, wouldn't be surprised to see more kind of crit marksman getting banned out.
Yeah, both teams have a true bruiser-style jungler, but C9 has a very tough frontliner, whereas that just does not exist on LYON's composition in these first 3 picks. So I'm curious to also see if LYON really wants to go for that AoE engage on the support role. Otherwise, it's just like, it's just Vi. We do have the Xayah banned out, like you were talking about, one of those safe marksmen that really just Vi hates her life playing against Xayah because it's so easy to just ult her ult.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ezreal, Xayah, to me, are always the premier defensive AD carries, right? They are some of the safest. When Tristana is meta, I feel like Tristana is actually kind of in there too. Tristana is really good defensively because you have the Buster Shot as well as the Rocket Jump. So you can kind of self-peel quite effectively. And it is not going to be a second AD carry ban. Instead, it's going to be the Nautilus, which does pair really well with the draft that they were going for. You know, you just kind of point and click, R comes down, Rumble over the top. Aphelios was the ban that I was expecting, though, and Aphelios might be the lock as a result. So that might have been what C9 was discussing. Like, hey, what do we care more about? Stopping Nautilus with the engage or stopping, you know, Berserker from getting Aphelios? Because I do feel like you need that sort of consistent DPS, and this is the best crit marksman that's really kind of up and available right now.
Yeah, he's a crit marksman who has that consistent damage that you're talking about, but at the same time, with Calibrum and Moonlight Vigil, he also has the range to contribute to the fights. If Vi and Ahri have to full send a mile away, he can still contribute more easily than you know, something else might be able to.
Infernal can be pretty juicy too.
Yeah, you can have a lot of really good contribution from range before you full commit onto things.
Infernal Multi is just dopamine as well. That's always the one I want to press.
It looks cool. It feels good.
The blue explosions.
It was, I mean, it birthed a meme back when he first released, and it was the haha funny whole team dies button, right? Like, that was the origin of 200 years. Lucian Braum, okay, a tried and true staple here for C9. Braum, one of those defensive champions that you were talking about that's great at impeding what a dive comp wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like the draft in the second phase kind of went to chalk of everything I was kind of expecting, right? You're targeting some of these defensive tools that they could have to really shut you down. And on the other side, you know, they're deciding, how do we want to shut down Berserker? Do we want to take away the double crit marksman? They only take one, so he takes away the other. And this is interesting. So it's going to be Renata here for Isles. I mean, there is obviously some dive from the C9 side. You can deal with Blaber and whatnot. But generally, I feel like Renata works way better into comps that are just like full hard engage. And I feel like C9 is going to be more in the camp of kiting back, because LYON's comp just naturally has to hard engage, right? And I don't think C9 wants to like opt into that. I'm not saying they're never going to go for a pick, but it can be difficult. Obviously, the other perspective is we full send it, Vi-ult, Ahri-ult, Rumble-ult, everything goes in, and then everyone is clumping up and kind of like trying to defend this and whatever, and you just kind of create chaos.
Turn the bodyguards on
exactly. You just throw the Renata ult over the top, but it can get, you know, blocked by a Braum wall. And just generally speaking, if they're kiting back, it's really hard to get value out of Renata. So that pick does surprise me as the 5th pick.
Okay.
But the other 3, I think, were all kind of like according to plan, and the bans and stuff were all kind of according to plan. So it'll just be interesting to see, you know, if the bets they made were correct. You know, was it better to take away that Nautilus and limit their hard engage, or should they have dealt with this Aphelios, and will there be a problem for them?
I also really want to see how much they can get, not just the micro combo of the Pantheon and the Taliyah to work together, setting up the stun for the shove, but the macro combo of Taliyah and Pantheon for the C9 side, using Weaver's Wall and Grand Starfall together to create those numbers advantages, whether it's at, you know, the setup for a neutral objective or just a play on a side lane. I feel like those two champs have such huge synergy on multiple levels. It needs to go right.
So you're telling me Dhokla's not going to have fun again?
I feel like this should be not just unfun, it should be the antithesis of fun for Dhokla. You're up against Ksante, so if you ever go too close to the tower, you get lay balanced comboed 300 meters backwards into Eternal CC. And then if you push up at all, it's just going to be Taliyah Pantheon.
That's the top lane experience, baby.
Good old top lane. Nothing beats that.
Yep. But he does have first strike, so we'll see if he can farm some gold off the Ksante before he dies 50 times in the side lane. And maybe Inspired will be in the brush when they come up there and they can turn it around, and then you are having a lot of fun, right?
Then you're having a great time.
Like, ha! Gank me again.
Fire those Rumble, Pineapple, ult. I think it's pineapples that he shoots in this skin.
Is it coconuts or pineapples?
I'm pretty sure it's pineapples.
Something tropical.
Yeah, on his back, it looks like pineapples. Yeah. Because they've got the little green thing on the top.
Okay.
Coconuts don't have a green thing.
That's true.
Yeah,
and pineapples taste a lot better than coconuts.
Like,
I don't know if that's a hot take.
No, I agree with that. Pineapples are delicious. Coconuts taste like guilty water. Water that did something wrong. It's just not, no.
I've never heard it described that way.
Not a big coconut fan.
Yeah.
But we do have, I am a big fan of fun competitive League of Legends games. I think our first
nice transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got right out of that.
Came up with that one on the spot, but we got a first game that honestly spent what, like 35, almost 40 minutes, not even being 1,000 gold apart. Like both teams were really just
like that.
Blow for blow in game number 1. I hope we get a whole series of it.
Yeah, me too. So, you know, if we do want that 3-game series, of course, LYON will have to take this second game. We'll see if they'll be able to do so. As APA and Saint were really scrapping it up in the mid lane. APA already out of mana, so he's just going to head right back to base. You can see he is playing Phase Rush as well as Ghost, so he's not playing TP, which is obviously pretty atypical, but it is going to be really tough. If you don't one-shot him, he's going to be tough to lock down, right? Like, he's going to proc Phase Rush, he's going to have Ghost, he's just going to kind of zoom away. And likewise, on the chase down, when you play some of these kind of comps, and when Taliyah gets in towards Rylai's, if a fight starts going bad, there is no disengaging because you're just getting perma-slowed by Rylai's and chased down by this ghosted Taliyah.
Okay, let's see what our junglers are up to now that the lanes are thoroughly underway. We do have both of them clearing out their second buffs, going for that top side into bottom side clear. We'll see if they end up wanting to move towards that bottom lane at all. It is a pretty serious push from the LYON duo, which means that Inspired feels empowered to take this bottom side Scuttle Crab, knowing that his bottom lane duo is going to have priority. Blaber can see that his guys are stuck underneath the turret, so he heads towards the top crab.
Yeah, there's pretty much no way you would expect them to get dominated in that 2v2. You know, when you do have that range support advantage, Braum is going to have some difficulty for sure, but Zven and Vulcan just farming it up, and not really a difficult lane in the same way that the last one was. You may have to seed push. You might not be able to look for aggressive plays, but last time against Karma Ezreal, they were kind of getting smacked around. You know, they were down a lot of CS early, and it was kind of this tale of Thanatos bullying top lane, and Berserker and LYON were bullying that bot lane. This time, it's just kind of an even farming situation, but Zven did have to recall and run straight out. And it's also worth mentioning that APA did use his Ghost on his first recall just to get right back to lane.
So the Scryer's Bloom that was used did see Inspired as he was moving towards the top side. He wanted to make sure that Dhokla didn't get ganked by Blaber as he was trying to crash the wave into the turret. Now Inspired does just hang around this area a little bit longer, did not want to go for another recall, instead just waiting on the Krugs to respawn so he can do another full clear. So both junglers still just kind of mirroring one another's actions as Dhokla maintains the push up here in the top lane, but honestly Thanatos still is the one with the higher farm, so the Ksante is perfectly comfortable here.
Yeah, Ksante's got to be really happy with that. I mean, that is one of the difficulties of Rumble. If you are not playing this champion really well, it's so easy to mess up your own CS. You know, with the Flame Spitter Harass.
You just cook him on accident.
Exactly. You're just kind of cooking him, and then they get to weird health thresholds, and they get killed off by the enemy minions. So that can happen, and being down 9 CS is not the situation you want to be in this early. And we're going to see Thanatos already has that cloak, so he's already building up a lot of MR here at this point.
Okay, junglers, where are we going? What are we doing here? We're both farmed up to level 5. Looks like we are going to get recalls out of both Blaber and APA before either one of them hits level 6. This is a good sign. This is a good sign for what I wanted to see for Weaver's Wall, Grand Starfall combos. If they're both making a purchase right before they're getting to level 6, they should be equipped and confident to use those ultis in tandem once they have the opportunity. But Saint will get the chance to take that first plate here mid lane as APA recalled.
And we can take a chance to talk a bit about these mid laners and their week 1 performances. APA won player of the week. We saw that interview with Raz. First time in his career, which is pretty cool. You know, he joined a new team, immediately win player of the week. But he was really big for the squad, going up against his own team, going up against Quid, who had been the person who replaced him, right? He had this really big standout performance, not even just statistically, but made some really big plays, and was so happy with how that turned out.
All right, bottom lane, Vulcan and Zven stepping up here, trying to square up against Isles and Berserker in the 2v2. Berserker does have the white gun, very good for scrapping, but Gravitum there with the purple, not quite as useful. APA goes in, Unraveled Earth into the seismic shove. No, Blaber wanted to get the stun, but the shove had already missed. Now C9 trying to get themselves away as Blaber will be the sacrificial lamb. Saint shows up, Blaber goes down, first blood over to LYON. The charm misses, trying to make it a 2-for-0, but LYON will happily walk away with that kill.
Yeah, really well played by LYON. And that's a pretty big punish. You don't even get the flash off of Berserker. You're going to lose the Dragon. First blood goes over to Saint. And this is that roam that they try to make happen. And they kind of just did the combo in the inverse way, where it was like APA threw the seismic shove, and then Blaber tried to flash stun him in the seismic shove, but the flash had already come out. And you know,
it just looked weird.
Yeah, it just kind of seemed like APA just sent it a little bit too early. Blaber needed to be closer to be able to flash stun and then guarantee the seismic shove out of it. He sees, oh crap, the seismic shove is coming. Blaber's like, I gotta get there. Tries to go for it, but it wasn't perfectly synced up. Isles had a great flash as he sees that flash come in there from Blaber. And then once that was used, he's just gonna get slowed down and knocked down. I think they were actually trying to give that to Berserker, but it looked like Saint kind of accidentally got it, maybe with some W charges or Spear Rush charges or something like that. Kind of went over and got that kill.
And I feel like sometimes these champion combinations that we laud and applaud so often can turn into a double-edged sword like that, because you know, oh yeah, if we work together and we do our combo, it's just free money. But you get a little bit too hypey, you get a little bit too anxious trying to make that play and force that play, and then you bungle it.
Yeah.
And you end up being the ones who give your opponents something free. LYON, again, happy with that first Drake. No contest thanks to that. First blood already on the board. And it doesn't come at any cost, because it's not like C9 could have taken the grubs at the same time. Those still 15 seconds away from spawning. So LYON are happy down here in the bottom lane. Berserker is going to get to continue to scale. The kill did go over to Saint on the Ahri, so accelerating that mid laner, who's traditionally very good at these like mid-game skirmish type of fights. If Saint's in really good shape heading towards those, LYON will be happy to use that aggressively.
Yeah, they absolutely will. I mean, he was in a great spot last time on the Orianna, you know, and he was really kind of like a pivotal part of a lot of their success when they had it in those team fights. So we'll see. You know, obviously we talk about the mistake from the side of Cloud9, but also Isles is deserving of credit. Like, his flash was super fast. As soon as Blaber flash W'd, he already had flash, and it's kind of one of those things where it's the same time thing, so you just end up stunned, but out of that seismic shove. So credit to him. I think Isles is one of the pieces that was kind of overlooked when people talk about, super team for LYON. They're looking at Inspired and Saint and Berserker, and not so much talking about Isles or talking about Dhokla, who obviously came in as a replacement for Zamudo. They wanted to play with him, couldn't get the visa. That really sucks for Zamudo. But Dhokla had a great Worlds last year, you know, really impressed a lot of people, so he's going to be a good fill-in for them. And, you know, we'll see if Isles can kind of change some minds about him, because Isles, you know, has had some teams that were kind of expected to be a bit better. For the most part, he's played on kind of like lower ranked teams, lower ranked rosters. This is an opportunity that he has to really prove himself, right? And it's going to be exciting to see if he can kind of change some hearts and minds about how good of a support he is.
Well, we've got Blaber taking those grubs right now. He will go ahead and secure the first two. Inspired is nearby, but it should just be Blaber getting all three grubs, so there's that. Again, it's the same story as game number one, where first Drake goes one side, all three grubs go the other, so pretty even split on our first objectives. But again, grubs are a down payment objective. You do need to have the ability to have some pressure on these turrets for those to really pay dividends, and we'll see if C9 can get that for themselves, because there's still 5 plates standing there in the top lane, still 4 in mid lane, and I believe 4 down here in the bottom lane on the LYON side. So C9 haven't had a lot of push. They haven't had a lot of chance to really put the work in on those structures yet.
Yeah, I mean, look at Thanatos' build. He went double Negatron, so that's not going to build into anything.
124 MR.
It is going to give him a lot of MR early, so it is going to delay his first item power spike, but it does have a lot of flat resists here. You know, we're assuming one of them will be a Koenig Rookern, and then we'll see what he wants to do with the other. But, you know, definitely going to be not getting bullied by Dhokla anytime soon. Did not elect to go, you know, into kind of some of those more aggressive builds, but is just trying to withstand that onslaught and doing a great job of it. I mean, he's up 20 CS right now, which is incredible in this matchup. And yeah, the gold is pretty close because first strike gold is going over and whatnot, but he's got to be really happy with how things have gone.
Yeah, I feel like if you're playing a tank into Rumble and you're winning in CS, you don't even care if it's close. Like, you're already doing what you need to be doing. You're perfectly confident. Going into the fights as well, you talk about the double Negatron cloak, but he also has a chain vest in inventory too. So it's not like he's just going to melt if the Aphelios or the Vi starts hitting him. So should be plenty durable if he needs to come to one of those objective fights, the next one of which will be in 30 seconds for the second Drake. It's a Chemtech Drake, which generally has the lowest priority of all of them. Do you think this is even worth fighting for both teams, or it'll mostly just be, all right, you can have it?
I think it's only going to be one of those things where they go if they think they will win the fight and they want it as a tool to start the fight, right?
Okay. The Drake itself isn't the point.
No, I don't really think it's a big deal whatsoever. So we'll see if there is a fight breaking out. Might be here.
Okay, immediately it's Saint and Inspired going in after Zven. They charm him up, but they can't quite burst him down. Beautiful protection coming in from C9 as APA and Vulcan come to the rescue. Inspired's going to be knocked out through the bailout, and LYON have overplayed their hand. Saint tries to get away as Vulcan goes forward for the Winter's Bite, and APA picks up another. Grand Starfall coming in from Blaber, but Isles is able to escape for now. Here with a flash follow-up from Blaber's not going to allow him to get all the way home. Send the news of their demise. LYON go behind enemy lines, and they aren't coming back.
Hey, Bard is not a bad ban, but Braum looking pretty strong in some of these fights, man. And a lot of this went wrong before the replay even started because the Q flash missed from Inspired. Zven was ready for it. He dashed back. You know, he had the barrier to absorb so much of this damage, and Vulcan was just a brick wall there. Uses the Summoner heal, blocks so much damage, and then just hits Winter's Bite after Winter's Bite. Even after this great handshake from Isles, it just doesn't matter because they connected so many of those Qs.
That's so bad.
And Inspired's acknowledging
Not wrong.
the play was not the execution they were looking for, and certainly not the result that they wanted. Their 1-0 game now turns to a 1-3 game favoring C9. Gold still very close overall, and this bottom lane tier 1 turret for C9 is still very low on HP, which is why APA is still down here protecting it, making sure the minions get nowhere close.
Yeah, and credit to APA, very fast on the roam to match that play. You know, he gets down there. Zven and Vulcan were super aware that this could be happening and reacted so well to it. If the Q flash hits, I think he just insta-dies, and it's a completely different story. But the fact that he doesn't insta-die and he gets to channel a full culling into Inspired, who spent his flash, like that was game-changing. And now APA, they just fought to the death. He just takes him down.
Yeah, was not expecting this to go all the way to the zeroed out health bar. And APA even hitting him in the all chat right after, "What are you doing, freak?" Like, that is crazy.
The freak is crazy.
Be talking.
I mean, it's honestly kind of similar to the death that Quid had to APA last week, if you remember that, where CoreJJ came mid and Quid was playing Orianna, and he just kind of like walked into the Azir soldiers and just kept getting auto by APA until he died.
Wow.
APA's got the mind control.
Yeah, thank you very much, observers, producers, for putting that on the screen. I also love the fact that it's spelled wrong, because that shows you he's going for just speed over accuracy with the typing. He's in the moment. He's feeling it. This is what I love to see. Yappa is back.
Yeah.
He is here, and he's winning these 1v1s.
Yeah, I mean, the seismic shove connects right at the same time as the charm. Saint, I thought he was just going to back it up. I saw this happen, and I was like, oh, that's that. But he just went straight back in. Does hit the charm, but it was too little too late. APA just kind of takes him down. Saint opted into it, thought he could outplay, not able to make it happen. And APA is one of our few NA mid laners here. We have a lot of Korean imports in the mid lane, some of the strongest players. And a lot of people talking about how guys like APA and Palafox and Darkwings aren't going to be able to match up to these Korean mid laners, to these top level players. Well, so far so good for APA. I think he was solid in game number 1. I think he was stellar last week against Quid. And he has shown that he is not to be messed with.
Yeah, this guy is scary down there, man. Now 500 gold up, 2-0-2 on the Taliyah. Blackfire Torch has the fully evolved tier 3 boot. You can see a very similar build for Saint, but his quest is not yet complete. Saint actually the one player on the Rift right now who still does not have his quest done.
And nerfed or not, Vandal Pipes, they are still really, really strong, and I feel like Braum is an insanely good user for them. Obviously, the ulti slow, the Q slow, the passive stun, like there's so many ways for him to be able to apply it, and it kind of turns him into a mini enchanter.
Okay, nice seismic shove from APA here on Saint. Follow-up coming in from Blaber. He ends up taking the kill on it, but that was all APA setting it up and getting it done. 2,000 gold lead for C9. Another kill onto the Ahri. Now you're going to have that Rift Herald targeted. And what you said about the Vandal Pipes, I feel like it's an attack speed aura. So obviously some champs are going to like it more than others. But with Braum, everybody likes it because you're stacking concussive blows.
Yeah. Look at Thanatos' build, by the way.
Yeah, this is just... Okay, Isaac, what do tanks like in League of Legends? They like to resist damage. So you just build a shield, a tank needs a shield, and then 4 items that resist damage.
I mean, it's just a cold winter's day. He's got 2 vests, 2 cloaks.
1 vest for your front, 1 vest for your back.
Yeah.
1 cloak for your front,
Layers.
1 cloak for your back. 1 dead AD carry in the mid lane as Berserker gets bulldozed. The Herald gets summoned up. The tier 1 turret falls. Tier 1 turret's about to die in the top lane at the same time from APA's split push. Those 3 Void Grubs I mentioned earlier, that down payment, dividends are coming in, and C9 is up to almost a 3,500 gold lead 16.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it feels like the wheels are kind of falling off a little bit here for Dignitas
they rolled down the road.
Game 2. This is tough, and Inspired's just going to keep chasing and see if he can find anyone, but APA was recalling in that back brush and is going to be staying safe here. This is going to be really, really tough now. You have to think for LYON to be able to come back from this position. When you are playing a full send dive comp, like there is no fallback for Vi Ahri Rumble. You send all your buttons, you one-shot them or you don't. And when you are behind, it is pretty tough to one-shot them. We already have a Seekers coming through there for APA. You can already see a Cloth Armor for Zven, so he's at least going to be getting, tabbies or something kind of defensive to be able to keep himself a little bit more safe. Obviously, Ksante is tough. There's the E for Pantheon that can kind of absorb all the damage. Braum is going to be blocking all the follow-up. It's just like, this is hard.
Zven just sees Thanatos' inventory. He wants to have some of that kind of fun, you know? He just wants to build some resistances. Sometimes that's all a man needs on a nice weekend afternoon.
This is going to be like a record for latest item completion. You know, we used to do the tracking of
the fastest one?
fastest. He's going for the slowest.
Hey, man, a world record is a world record. It doesn't matter how you achieve
He's
it.
out of inventory spots, so the real problem is he has to build something now, you know? He has to make an item. Unless he wants to sell his boots to buy another cloak, which I would respect.
Honestly, you got to sell boots to buy another belt. Then you have 2 of each defensive item.
Full build!
And then you're full build. Inspire tries to go in after APA, who immediately drops the stasis, flashing back out, trying to survive. Vulcan will be your sacrificial lamb, but a nice stun onto Inspired, looking to trade one back. Calling flies through, Inspired is low. Bailout is on him, but it ain't gonna save him. Make it a 1-for-1. LYON sent the whole damn kitchen sink, but now it's Thanatos looking to make some renovations. He's not gonna find his way to the kitchen just yet, but C9 will happily trade 1-for-1 on that one.
I mean, that was a 4v2 for what felt like 20 seconds, and they could barely get through the Braum, so things are looking tough. And I got an update from production that after APA trash talk Saint in all chat, Berserker had to mute him. So he forgot the pre-mute. He was reminded. He's like, crap.
It's a lesson you gotta learn real quick.
Yeah.
You gotta block him in the in-game chat. You gotta do it fast. Nice knockback coming out there on that third and Tofo strike from Thanatos. Saint has to use the Ahri ulti. That means he's gonna feel way weaker until that cooldown is up again. Luckily for the side of LYON, there's no dragon for 3.5 minutes to play for. Baron's gonna be live here in about 60 seconds. Even though C9 has a 4,000 gold lead though, you talked about it a bit last game. Baron is so deadly, it's still pretty risky to try to rush him at 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, for LYON, well, Thanatos has less things in his inventory now.
Oh, true.
So that's a plus.
Oh, man, he combined 3 of his things into one thing.
Yeah,
I've
so
never
that is
been so disappointed at an item completion. I really liked his inventory.
Yeah,
but...
I was loving it.
All right, Jack Show. To be fair, Jack Show is kind of the spiritual successor to the inventory that he had because it's a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
just build 5 Jack Shows.
If he has to complete an item, I'm fine with it being this one.
If he gets another belt, I'll forgive him.
Get another belt.
Get another belt
keep
next.
Building this nonsense.
Keep building Jack Shows.
The entire time. Just nothing but Jack Show. How do you even put on 5? You just walk around a helmet on each hand like a boxing glove?
Yeah, exactly. Strap him up. So I got invented duct tape.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Some duct tape, some ingenuity.
Ksante and his Jack Show. A match made in heaven. All right, 4,000 gold for C9. LYON just seems completely out of sorts. You mentioned earlier the wheels falling off, and it just does feel like that they don't really know where to go with this composition in this current game state.
Yeah, I mean, they're Fred Flintstone. You know, they're just their little feet under the car, trying to keep it, it running.
All right, boys, left foot, right foot. Make sure you sync them up. They're gonna have to. Part of the VOD review this week will be doing like the army drills: your left, your left, your left, right, left. Everybody's got to make sure they can keep the car going with only feet ready to run it.
Wheels fall off.
You're ready. All right, C9, they're trying to take control over the enemy jungle now, placing down some vision, trying to make this map very, very scary for anybody from LYON, just trying to go out and farm their camps. Inspired's going to get his Krugs here. He's confident enough with the control ward in the tri-brush that nobody's going to be waiting to try to jump out and gank him. He'll group back up with Saint. Vulcan and Blaber just hanging around nearby in case anybody goes after APA, but everybody on LYON is just shadowing Saint right now as he pushes for the tier 1 turret top. C9 saying, all right, sure, tier 1, take it. We're going tier 2.
Yep, exactly. They're just going tier 2, mid, as well as that bot push, and Dhokla on top, maybe.
Oh, that is just immediately. Dhokla stepped 1 inch too far forward, and C9 sat him down and showed him why you can't do it.
Yeah, that is tough. I mean, both these AD carries do have their IE. It's like, oh, that's not so bad. And then you realize Zven has another item on top of that. So is a full item ahead. 2K lead for Zven, 1.6K for APA, 1.3 for Blaber.
Ooh, hold on now. This could be some trouble for APA. He has to go golden, try to get away from this one. There's no escape. Nice shutdown. And the kill going over to Saint is big, making sure he stops falling behind in this game. So nice punish there from LYON. APA, a little bit of an error.
Yep, a little bit of an error. Does get hit by that charm, so Saint getting a bit of revenge. Thanatos, though, pushing up on that top side. LYON will respond, so he will have to back it up, but not before grabbing 2 plates. And Cloud9 fully in control for now. It is going to be Cloud Soul once again, and they'll be looking for this 3rd dragon for sure. I mean, Cloud9 is just going to be so confident about really taking any fight whatsoever at this point of the game.
It's not a second Jack Show.
That's a worrying trend.
Unending despair. I was so sad because I saw...
That is what I feel when I found out that it wasn't another Jack show.
Yeah,
I feel the unending despair.
Well, we still have a chance because a Negatron cloak builds into a Jack show. So maybe he's making a
could get another
an unending sandwich where the Jack shows are the bread and the unending despair goes in the middle. That's the new item for Ksante. It's a secret unlock.
All will be forgiven if he goes for that.
I hope he can hear us right now as Berserker just wants to hear the sounds of that turret crashing down up there in the top lane. Nice equalizer from Dhokla in mid to protect the tier 2. Try to give Berserker the opportunity to take this without a trade back from C9, and Berserker will do just that. So LYON bringing that gold lead back down to just under 3,000. But the Drake is live, not for long though, as it's claimed by C9, who now arrive at Soul Point, and yet again, it is a Cloud Soul Rift. Very scary stuff.
Yeah, it is going to be really tough for them to deal with. And Lucian, not only is move speed good, but it is one of these champions where just like the actual burst of move speed with the culling is really annoying.
Yeah.
You get tagged by Winter's Bite, and now all of a sudden you are getting chased down by someone with rockets on their feet.
It's problematic, man. It is such a big deal. In case y'all missed it, that power spike moment means that MasterCard card holders can click on the link pinned in chat for their chance to win $50 in RP. We've got our Lucian with Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, Navori. This dude is so scary right now. I feel like if you're LYON and you start a fight where Zven is not just dead right out of the gate, that fight you are not going to win.
Yep, it is going to be so tough, and you have to kill him through Ksante and Pantheon and Braum and the Taliyah throwing down the unraveled earth and just being so annoying at this point. So going to be really difficult to try to pull off this dive. And honestly, Renata is kind of doing what I expected from Renata against this kind of composition. I just feel like it's so hard to play Renata into a composition that is kiting back, and I feel like that's always going to be what C9 is wanting to do. Only time they're going to be going forward is when they have, you know, an uneven fight. They're just going to insta-kill you, so it's just tough.
I mean, Renata's ulti walks slower than some champions do, right? So if you're going the same direction that the ulti is, you're probably going to beat it in a foot race.
And Braum has already blocked it, you know, once or twice this game. Like, that's another thing that makes it really difficult.
All right, Baron's been started up by C9. They've got it very, very low, but LYON is on the approach. Baron down, smited by Blaber. C9 on the retreat right now. Saint and the rest of LYON trying to catch up, see if there's anything they can find here, but no, they're too late to the play. They were caught unawares, and C9 takes a pre-25-minute Baron.
Yeah, just going to be able to rush that one down, and that's going to set themselves up really well.
Yeah, part of that setup, I'm looking at these timers, man. 3 minutes until what'll be their soul spawns. They've got Baron for the next 2.5. It means they'll run the entire rift. Even if you don't break the base, which I feel like is also unlikely, you still have total control for the setup over that next big power spike.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance they could pressure these tier 2s. LYON is just going to have to get to this point where they full send in a side lane, right? And that's why they're covering APA.
Oh, APA, he's immediately ready with a stasis. The charm can't hit him, and now the TP's ready to back them up. C9 trying to punish LYON. Vulcan swooping around from the flank. Here's the Weaver's Wall. Winter's Bite already drops down. Where's the Glacial Fissure? Wall again defending from Vulcan. Defensive equalizer from Dhokla. C9 continues pushing forward as LYON has to get everybody out. That's Flash from Dhokla. Flash from Isles, Flash from Inspired. Thanatos goes in for the third and Topo strike. He's not going to find it. Gets back away with the Pathmaker, but now Vulcan is in danger. Vulcan and APA both low. LYON fighting for their lives, trying to cover their own retreat here. As C9 now backs away as well. Remember, the Baron-empowered recall is going to allow them to get back more swiftly, as Thanatos does have to stop that recall early to make sure he's not interrupted by Saint. Somehow, Azael, nobody's dead on either side there, despite multiple flashes being spent. Every flash except for Saint on LYON is now down. Over on the other side, it's the same tale for everybody except for APA and Zven, but that's the two big carries.
Those are the ones that really matter, and APA just bought a death cap off of that recall. Another really big spike there for Cloud9, so things going to be even more difficult from this point. It was a good attempt from LYON, though. You have to be willing to send it on these plays. You know, if there wasn't Blaber there kind of trailing APA, if APA didn't actually use his Zonias that fast and immune the charm, that could be a completely different fight. So it's a good swing there, and it does waste some of that Baron buff, but now C9 back to the scene of the crime. You have to think this tower is going to go down.
Back to the scene of the crime for even more crime. The sequel is even better than the original for
Double
C9.
Jeopardy, can't charge them twice.
Oh yeah, they've got this one taken care of, no problem. Tier 2 turret falls, C9 up 5,000 gold. And between all of the praises that we were giving him giving Inspired last game for his timing on being able to spell shield APA's Azir shuffles, APA now has the chance to pay it back with the timing on these stasis plays, and honestly, he's doing a good job with it. Weaver's Wall to buy the opportunity to fire into the turrets here. The tier 3 line under pressure as that bottom lane tier 3 turret is about to collapse. Double cannon minions empowered with Baron, nearly enough to bring it down. Berserker does clear out that last cannon in time, but C9 is not done yet with the siege. 20 seconds remain until the soul spawns. The Baron just now expires as they force down the tier 3. So C9 takes this opportunity. They got exactly what they needed to. They broke the base defenses with the last wave of Baron. Now they control the Drake.
Yeah, and look at the vision. There's no vision deep on the map for LYON. This is what makes it so difficult, is to have this soul spawning right after the Baron expires, because Baron is up, you were just locked into your base, you can't get out on the map, and then all of a sudden you have to try to get over to the Dragon. They're not even going to bother contesting. Look where Inspired is. He's in the top lane side brush, hoping maybe I can find a pick on someone, look for something, because they know no shot can you walk in blind and actually try to take that away from C9. If you walk in blind there, you're going to die, and they will just walk down bot lane with that open inhib and probably end the game.
Bottom lane is Australia. Inspired is having a nice Canadian vacation right now, not going anywhere near where all of the crocodiles live. That crocodile is claimed. Now APA stepping up towards the brush, not going to hit Inspired with it. Immediate stasis yet again as he tries to flash away. Thanatos is coming in looking to defend his mid. Saint's likely going to be first to die here. The bailout is going to bring him back, but he just dies right again. LYON looking to make their play with the numbers advantage. Blaber is taking low. Guardian Angel going to bring him back. Thanatos is fighting for his life, drain tanking everybody, but Berserker knocks him down. C9 scrambling, trying to get something back. Zven's the only damage. They got to try to protect him. The calling, firing into Dhokla, but it's being blocked by minions. Zven is still looking to salvage this, but a huge play from LYON. Gets 3 for 1.
Yeah, and how much more can they get? You know, that just took about 2-3K off of the gold lead, and there's bounties up. Berserker is going to farm these plates, farm this tower, and they see Zven and Vulcan over here. They could maybe even get more.
Berserker's also got Crescendum. Remember, White Gun Aphelios, this is one of the very unique champions in the game. His attack speed is faster when he's right next to the turret. He can bulldoze these structures. Let's see this again as Inspired. Beautiful positioning here in the brush.
I mean, Inspired was up here for so long, APA with the early stasis, but this time it is not going to save him because the ulti was there. Even with Thanatos coming in, he blocks the charm. It just doesn't matter because the equalizer is there. All of the damage dealers for LYON were here faster. Even with Zven and Vulcan arriving, they just can't really get in. Zven's trying to find an angle, looks to dash in, but as he goes in, it's just right into the overheated Dhokla, so really he just kind of has to retreat immediately, and LYON find what feels like a miracle fight. It went from almost a 6K lead to just the 1K. Yes, there's still the Cloud Soul. Yes, it's still going to be difficult, but LYON showing they are not out of it just yet.
It looked like this game was wrapped up, just completely done for, except the semantics of just knocking down the turrets and taking the Nexus. And LYON, for the first time, I feel like in more than 20 minutes, looks like they've got a real honest shot at this game. That was huge.
That was absolutely huge. And I think it's such an important series for LYON because people, LYON feel, and a lot of LYON fans feel, are underrating them, right? This was the average power rankings amongst the broadcast, had them averaged out at 4th. A lot of people, a lot of LYON's fans were expecting them to be up at the very top and to be, you know, looked at as a real title contender. And, you know, this is an opportunity for them to kind of prove everyone wrong. Say, hey, you guys have us too low. You know, we're taking down C9, C9 BTL. You know, that means we should be up at the top of the table. But, you know, if you do get 2-0'd, you know, people are going to be kind of having those feelings reinforced that they're not yet on that same level as the C9s and TLs potentially. So it would be huge if they could come back in this game.
Blaber and APA waiting, seeing if there's maybe a play to try to make here. Vulcan, Glacial Fissure doesn't find a whole lot, just a knock up there onto Dhokla. Inspired in the chicken pit. Doesn't see any reason to go back in there as LYON have already claimed the tier 1 turret in the mid lane. Gold lead now less than 1,000. It's a fair fight here in the mid lane. Less than 3 minutes until the Elder spawns. Inspired charging up a Vault Breaker, but no chance to go in with that one. Blaber knew he was there, marked him, would be ready to lock him up if the Vi tried to engage. LYON still looking for any chances they might get. Berserker tagging APA there with the Gravitum, means he's able to get that extra little bit of damage with the Root. As LYON continue posturing aggressively, they're not afraid. They don't have to be as afraid as they were for what felt like the last 20 minutes of gameplay. You do have the Guardian Angel up on Zven. He tries to drop the culling, forces the Spirit Rush out of Saint's Ahri, who's still looking to maybe try to get some value out of those second charges. Vulcan throws up Unbreakable. Saint still looking for a little bit more. Last Spirit Rush is expended, so the Ahri much less threatening now.
Yeah, it's a 52-second cooldown, so not that long. But C9 are going to try to force. They know Ahri is pretty worthless without ult, so they're going to say, you know what? You have to fight us now, but there's still a lot of risk here going in towards that Baron pit.
This could define the entire game right now as LYON tries to step up. C9 not putting a ton of DPS into the Baron here just yet. Grouped up as 5, Equalizer down over the top. Not a ton of damage here as Vulcan's blocking a lot with the Unbreakable, but he has to flash away or else he's going to die. LYON looking for their chances. Weaver's wall to block any further pursuit. C9, they lose most of the HP on their support, half the HP on their jungler. Blaber has no Guardian Angel and LYON's got full health bars. Vulcan recalling right now, trying to go back to base and heal up. Damage onto the Baron, about halfway dead already. C9 are now the ones tasked with stopping the objective. LYON called the bluff, and C9 are now forced to scramble. Baron down to 3,000 HP, and LYON are going to take the Baron and take the lead.
Nicely done. LYON just pushed them out, and C9 kind of disrespecting the power that LYON still had. The equalizer there really making all the difference, was perfectly placed by Dhokla. You know, even with the Guardian, even with the Locket, these tools to try to negate it somewhat. He was roasting Cloud9, and now not only do they lose the Baron, they lose it right before the Elder. So let's watch this one more time. The seismic shove missed, then Inspired tries to go for this Q flash over the wall. Not able to find the Q flash, unfortunately for him, and that's twice this game where he has whiffed. Rare mechanical errors from Inspired, but that equalizer softened them up so much that C9 didn't have the confidence to re-engage. And look at Thanatos just getting chunked out by Berserker. He is really strong now. He's on those 5 items, and he's up 1.7k out of nowhere.
Ooh, Thanatos gets charmed as he tries to go forward towards Saint. Guardian Angels up and ready to proc for both junglers and both AD carries. So 7 lives for each team to get through here as the Elder is about to spawn in 5 seconds. Flash! The follow-up's not there. The timing wasn't quite perfect on the seismic shove right after the stun from Blaber.
No TP though.
Saint is low. He has to go back to the base. He can't teleport back into the fight. They forced him out for now, but Vulcan is also at death's door. LYON are going to start up the objective.
Yeah, Vulcan's going to go back, and he recalled way later and didn't have the empowered recall, of course. Now he's just canceling. He's realizing, you know what, I actually can't leave.
No.
So Vulcan's going to have to take the fight at 20% HP.
Vulcan's going to send Glacial Fissure and die. That's pretty much the lot that you are dealt if you're going to fight with this much health. C9 still posturing around the area, keeping an eye on LYON, who are starting the objective up yet again. Berserker will shred this thing if you give him the chance. Dhokla is back in the base, here for LYON, trying to clear out the massive wave of minions. APA trying to fire a couple of skill shots here into the tri-brush. Elder alive, but he's quickly running out of patience. He'll return to his home as Dhokla clears out the wave. He's going to go try to answer top. Dhokla does have his TP ready to join the fight if they need him. Elder still at about 13k. Berserker, very slow damage onto the objective. C9 on the approach once more. Vulcan back to full HP. Thanatos tanking the Elder. Saint coming around on the flank, looking for the pincer attack. TP coming in. LYON has all 5 players here. C9 has all 5 players here. Elder Drake down to 7,000. Weaver's Wall going to cut off LYON. Inspired charging up the Vault Breaker as Thanatos and Blaber go into the back line. They're looking to force Berserker away. The Dragon's still at 5,000 HP. Thanatos looking to put the pressure on, but he's already down. Resurrection coming in here through the Guardian Angel. Berserker wants Inferno multi. Blaber's here on the front line. He's about to be dropped into Guardian Angel now as well. LYON running. C9 staying alive somehow for now. Only Thanatos is truly dead.
Yeah, Thanatos is down. He will have TP, but he's not up for 45 seconds. C9 needs to try to delay. They only knocked down Inspired, and he just lost the GA. Berserker was so low, but didn't even die. Blaber's going back to base, has no ult, so he's rushing out, and LYON are right onto the Elder.
LYON starting this up. They've burned it down to about half HP. C9 have to force them back. There's no jungler here for the C9 side, but a nice seismic shove! It's APA and he found Saint! Now Dhokla's gonna try to find some damage right back the other way as Zven needs auto attacks. He lands a couple. He's trying to kite him out and he finds a second kill. Berserker looking for his way into the C9 lines, but no! Berserker gets knocked into the Guardian Angel. Blaber jumps back forward. A triple kill over to Zven. Berserker's alive, but the spear is ready to find his heart. Double kill over to Blaber. Ace, C9.
That's going to be the game. They're just going to TP in and end it. APA steps up when they need him most, finds the seismic shove to win the game.
The week 1 player of the week, the mid laner on a brand new team, right when it looks like C9 might have fumbled game 2, APA finds the seismic shove. It's a faster one than game number 1. It's a Cloud9 2-0, and they're gonna love the way this week 2 looks.
What a finish to that one. Explosive game 2. It looked like LYON was just going to get blown out in the second game, but they made some great plays, able to pull themselves back in it, keep it really close. But when it mattered most, your APA finds that seismic shove onto Saint, gets that kill. All of LYON had to pull off, and that created the chaos that allowed Zven to just crush this fight.
We look back to the first blood in bottom lane where Blaber and APA aren't on the same page. It feels a little rough. But then APA getting the solo kill on Saint in the bottom lane, talking a little trash after, finding the game-winning play onto Saint later on. He's got to be my player of the game this time around. Let's toss things back to the lounge and hear what they've got to say.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. What an ending. We're going to have Zven. As soon as he packs up his stuff, he's got to run over here. Someone's got to grab him and bring him over here for this interview because we want to talk about this series. It did actually look like it was going to turn back in the favor of LYON after Berserker got so much gold, but C9 really clutched it in that final fight.
That was ridiculous. APA's catch was a big one, but he's been online the entire game for me. Like the constant fights that he was able to find, the catches that he was able to find versus Saint. I was looking at Saint specifically for the series to see if he would be able to perform, because I feel like you're going up against C9, which in my mind, the best team right now in the LCS. He had to be able to be the one to perform. I thought APA got his number the entire time.
Yeah, and it felt like one thing I did like from both APA and Blaber is like, oh, they messed up the combo on boss side initially, right? LYON come out ahead of that. They keep trying it. They kind of looked more coordinated as the game went on. And then, like you said, Raz, finding that APA finding that catch that led to that final fight. But the 2 stars of that final fight, I mean, the big star was obviously Zven. Right?
Yeah.
Popping off on the Lucian, and then Blaber able to come in at the very end.
But I mean, the very beginning of that fight, what you're